Howdy, it's July 22nd, 2025. I just want to make a quick mental health video. Um, so, obviously, I'm in my office, so that's a good sign. In terms of how I'm feeling, a little bit depressed, or a little bit sad, but mainly it's anxiety. I am dealing with a great deal of anxiety, which is basically work driven. I have been surprisingly productive. I've been able to cope enough that I've made progress in maintaining my house. Not a lot of progress, but progress. And getting things done here at work and organizing things and yeah, so there's progress, but it just seems to me that every time I make progress, it just opens up more things for me to do. Almost as if the more responsibility I take, the more responsibility I gather. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with trying to keep everything above board. Struggling with motivation as always. There are things that I need to get done that I'm afraid to do, videos and so forth. And I do not do well when it comes to organizing my thoughts, specifically from a priority standpoint. So I often forget things that I need to be doing. And obviously, if I forget them, then I do not place them very high on my priority list. Also, I tend to, and I think this is a sort of a natural thing, is path of least resistance. I pick those things that are most interesting to me and require the least amount of effort. Which is, good, but it's not always you'll run into problems because obviously there are projects that are big but boring and need to be addressed at some point. I absolutely hate that I cannot keep things straight. I hate that I have to have these lists because I often forget to check them. So I essentially need to start, I don't know, put sticky notes everywhere to say, hey, check your fucking list of things to do. Make sure it's updated. And the fact that I'm having to do that disgusts me. I feel that it makes me feel extremely weak-willed, or rather inferior. That a more competent person would be able to do this without the reminders. That the reminders, the need for reminders is a sign of effectively incompetence. For whatever reason, I should be able to keep all of this in my head. I should be able to prioritize things far better than I do. So it's yet another way for me to beat the fuck out of myself for when I try to do the right thing and I try to recognize the reality of certain situations, and I attempt to develop coping skills or methods to basically remedy the problems. Like, I often forget about projects, so the remedy is to remind myself to look over my to-do list every day so that it keeps in my memory. But the fact that I have to do that makes me feel inferior. It makes me feel like like I am a worthless piece of shit. And yes, I know it's difficult to understand that. I know it might be difficult to conceive that that little thing can make me go to such an extreme view of myself. But it's not so much that it makes me go to that extreme view. It just reinforces a view that I've had of myself for decades, that I still have. Granted, I don't have it as strongly as I used to, if I'm honest. I don't think of myself as a complete worthless piece of shit anymore. Just a piece of shit, and somewhat worthless. Um, so, but, I'm just suffering for dealing with a whole lot of anxiety at this point. My work relationships or one particular work relationship is very frayed. Um, the person involved is irritating the ever living fuck out of me. Every time that I have to engage with him, I get irritated. Um, and I haven't come up with a way of coping with that effectively. I'm supposed to communicate with him every time he doesn't, every time he irritates me, and I think I'm going to need to, have a discussion with him again and talk about boundaries, because he's overstepping mine. I don't want to have this conversation because it seems like I'm having this conversation with him. Well, I wouldn't say repeatedly. We've only had this conversation a couple times, but it just, who likes conflict? Who the fuck likes to have these conversations to begin with, let alone multiple conversations about basically the same fucking thing? He doesn't trust me to do my job properly. And what annoys me is that I've given him cause, not recently, but I have given him cause to doubt that I can stay on top of things, but not recently. And so it aggravates me that I feel as if I've been making a lot of progress in terms of not flaking, not flaking out, and seeing to my responsibilities as the observatory director. And yet I'm getting no credit for it, or I feel as if I'm getting no credit for it. And that's a recurring theme in my life, is feeling as if I'm making progress in a certain area, but because people have known me for a significant period of time, and people have known me to be a flake or be irresponsible, then that is an impression I can't seem to shake. That I can't seem to undo, and annoys me. But it is reality. I can't change them. I suppose I could communicate with them why I'm frustrated, and acknowledge to them why I have given them cause to doubt me in the past, but I feel that I have been stepping up recently. So I don't know. There was something else I wanted to talk about. Also been battling, basically, I wouldn't really call it cycles, but when I feel as if I've had a productive day or feel good about myself, very soon after that I have a dive. My mood tanks. So, speaking of that dude, that is, he's messaging me on Teams. Granted, he's replying to something that I pinged him on earlier, but it's kind of ironic, or kind of a nifty little quinky dink that he's pinging me on Teams when I'm talking about him. And he's just, anyway, yeah. So, God damn, Peter, just say it. Fucking just say everything in one message. You don't have to keep sending me multiple messages. I'm afraid that I'm gonna crash out soon. That I'm just going to break break down. This is kind of uncharted territory for me. I'm doing things that I do have never really done before. I'm prepping, I think, more than I have in the past. I'm again being, I have taken the when faced with an action that I don't want to do, I have um, managed to convince myself to at least do something on it rather than to do nothing. So, which I usually have not done in the past. So, yay. Um, I feel like something's coming. I feel like I'm gonna snap. And by snap, what I mean is break. I shouldn't say snap. I should say break. I will just fucking shut down completely. Um, and probably at an extremely inopportune time. There really isn't an opportune time to fall into a debilitating extended depression, but um, sometimes are worse than others to do it. Um, oh yeah, I read this article the other or yesterday, or skimmed the first part of this article by the New York in the New York Times opinion section, and it was talking about women getting or a woman getting frustrated with wanting men. And she played out this scenario where she went on, I guess, second date of some dude, it was a sweet story. It described the dude as being nice and a good guy, quote unquote. And they got intimate later that night, and he was timid, but he expressed interest and all that. But ultimately, the relation that was the end of it. He in a way ghosted her, and when she was able to get a response out of him like, "Hey, what's going on?" he says that he's too anxious for a relationship. And she, again, I skimmed it, but the impression that I was getting from it was that she was faulting the guy for it and was asking questions like, is he punishing me for wanting a relationship or something of that nature? Um, you know, to be fair, like I said, it was a long article. I only skimmed the first part of it, so I don't know exactly what her ultimate point was. But what brought to my mind was I resemble the guy she was describing in that anxious about being in a relationship. I haven't been intimate with someone in a very long time at the well, actually only about a year or so, and they've been very brief encounters. They didn't go well. So I cannot remember the last time I've been in a long term relationship where it was supportive both ends. Like it was a partnership, as it were. It definitely was somewhere in the middle of my marriage before my ex-wife decided to go back to Atlanta while I was in Baton Rouge. But it's the point now that I don't know what that's like anymore. I don't know what that situation looks like anymore. I don't know what it feels like anymore. And so I don't know if I could, I don't know how quickly it would take me to adjust to being in that kind of relationship again. So it wouldn't be a fault of the woman. It would be a fault of my not knowing, my being anxious, my not knowing how to move forward, my not knowing how to proceed with things. I know the last two escapades, I guess. I really hesitate to call them relationships. I wasn't invested in them really at all. I was hoping that they could, particularly the second one, I was hoping that it could stay casual, and maybe grow and evolve into something that was good, because that's something I've never really tried. My relationships have always been hot and heavy in the beginning, and then have typically petered out after a month or so. Basically the magic dies, or the flame dies, or whatever, or my lust diminishes, and I can see with clearer eyes what the other person brings to the relationship, and yeah, I check out, because I'm picky son of a bitch, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it occurs to me that, I'm 49, and on the positive side of things, if I wanted to stay healthy, there is a drive for me to stay healthy and to have as long a life as I possibly can. I mean, theoretically, it's possible that I could live. Life expectancy for a dude is around early 70s. I have 20 years of life left, thereabouts. And it's looking like I'm facing the real possibility of living those years alone. I've often come to this point before in the past, and it's frequently hasn't been the case. I've found somebody, but usually that's because I just find someone who fits enough. But at this point, I don't have the energy or the will to do that anymore. It's going to have to be a strong connection. And honestly, I have not found that a lot in my life. And, that may be what most people have experienced, is being able to find that strong connection with people. So, which is not a woe's me kind of bitching about, I'm going to live the rest of my life alone. And I so desperately want somebody else. I'm actually okay-ish with being a confirmed bachelor for the rest of my life. So long as I've got friends that I can rely on for support and that kind of good stuff, which at present I don't really have, at least not locally. But there are things that there are aspects to an intimate relationship that friends cannot replace. That kind of connected love, that singular connected love of being completely open, allowing yourself to be seen completely, having any kind of mask or facade or what have you. Even with Vic, there are walls. There are certain things about myself that I will not let him see, or have not let him see. Very few, but very few things. But there are, I haven't really laid myself bare with a person. One of the most memorable things about my relationship with my first wife is laying there naked in bed with her and just talking about how I felt, what my emotions were, being naked both physically and emotionally. Powerful, powerful shit. And that's the thing I miss most. I certainly miss it a whole lot more than sex. Yeah, I don't know. And to see her emotionally naked, to be like that, that's the kind of connection that I've that I've craved for pretty much ever. That I have really only found once, twice-ish. The second time was it's complicated. Yeah, to feel open and not be judged, not feel judged for it. Never had that with my second wife. Never had that with Lynn. The times that I was emotionally open, naked, I definitely felt judged, particularly afterward. So, and she never really, I don't think she ever really opened up to me either, but I don't know. I came up with something about about affirmations the other day. Why I constantly seek affirmations, why I constantly need to seek praise. But anyway, I am getting very hungry, so I'm going to end this now. And yeah, check y'all later. Peace out.